Hello, Phil from the future here. I recommend Round 2 versus Death and Taxes. It features some disgusting waste not action. Enjoy the show. Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today we are going to be playing with Aiden K's Mono Blacklist, or more accurately, something close to it. So, for those of you not familiar with the Xbox, it has this thing known as the Red Ring of Death. And when you see it, you know that you are going to be unhappy and that your Xbox is not working. Well, Magic Online implemented this same feature. And whenever you have one of these red cards here, it's not actually on Magic Online, so you can't play with it. And we're sad. So Keen Duelist is a card that could potentially fit into this deck list. We're going to have to replace it with Dark Confidant. C'est la vie, so it goes. Email your state representative and tell them to get WotC to put all of the cards that are in Legacy on Magic Online. All right, there's our political agenda of the day. Okay, I want to talk about the deck building here because there's some interesting ideas here. There's some things that I think are good ideas and some things that I think bad ideas. All right, let's start with Howling Mine. Howling Mine is not exactly a good Magic card, right? It costs you a card to put it into play, and your opponent gets to draw with it first. And most of the times when Howling Mine has been good, you've had some way to break it, such as tapping your Howling Mine so your opponent doesn't get to draw. And the idea here with breaking it is that if you control a Chains of Mephistopheles, those draws just turn into loots. And those loots would trigger your Waste Not. But I think Howling Mine is just fundamentally opposed to the rest of what this deck wants to be doing. It wants to be like Thought Seizing and Hymn to Touraching and Liliana of the Veiling. And in those times where you don't control the chains, I really don't think that this card is going to work. Like, its only other upside is that it's an artifact with Urza's Saga. But I think that portion of the deck gets a thumbs down from me. Now, Chains of Mephistopheles, Waste Not, like, chef's kiss. I'm so down for that. The other thing that gets a thumbs down from me is Wasteland. And this is something that I talk a lot about with the decks on my channel. If you greed your mana base too hard, like, you're gonna have a bad time. This is a deck that wants black on turn 2 for cards like Hymn to Tourach, and maybe triple black on turn 4 for cards like Tourach. So every time you play a colorless land, you actually decrease your chances of doing that. And I understand that, like, you want your opponent not to cast some cards, and, like, that's cool, that's what Wasteland does. But if you're not casting your own spells on curve, you lose a lot of games to do that. So let's take a look at what I'm actually going to play. It's pretty close in spirit to what Aiden submitted, but it has quite a few card differences that I think are going to vastly improve the deck. Let's get all these bad boys and girls on screen here for you all. All right. So, a couple conceptual changes. Number one, wastelands are gone. We're just going to play more swamps. Technically, I should Technically, I should split these between swamps and snow-covered swamps, but I forgot when I ordered cards. So that's on me if our opponent predicts us and they draw an extra card, and you can roast me in the comments for it. Number two, some feedback I've gotten on some of the mono black videos recently is that a Chrome Mox might be good in them. I think in a lot of these mono black lists, land is just better. But because we really want to play like Waste Knots and Bobs on turn 1 and Chains as well, I think the Chrome Mox is a pretty good fit here. It's another 0-drop for Bob, and it's probably as good as, maybe better than the 23rd land. I think Aiden's original list had like 20, and I wanted to go up on the mana. Like, I want to cast my cards. One of the things that I didn't like about Aiden's deck list is it was relatively removal light. And in this world where, like, Murktide Regent is a card that exists because that's fair, I have just fallen in love with Sudden Edict in these sorts of mono-black controlling deck lists. It's functionally uncounterable due to split second, and it's just really powerful. Specifically within the context of this deck list, it's something that you can do off a Dark Ritual as well. So, like on turn 2, you can like play your Bob, suddenly edict your opponent's threat, and like that's a really strong turn. I'm going to keep the Planeswalker package that was originally in this deck list, including Sorin the Mirthless. I got kind of wrecked by this card a couple days ago on a video. I don't remember what it was. I'm a little skeptical of this card. Like, it's not Dark Ritualable like a lot of the other things in this deck, and that's a downside for it. But one of the things I wanted in some of these other mono black deck lists was just like another source of lifelink. And I think Aiden was thinking the same thing in playing 2 copies of Shadow Spear. But we're relatively creature light, so I don't know that the second Shadow Spear is good, especially if we want to mess around with Null Rod in the sideboard. Note, I know that I am playing Chrome Mox alongside Null Rod. If we have a Null Rod hit, and if we Chrome Mox to make that Null Rod happen on turn 1, I have most certainly done more damage to my opponent than myself. Like, if I shut off exactly 2 cards in my deck list to shut off all of my opponent's artifacts, like, that's probably good for me in the matchups where I am bringing in Null Rod. One other major change here, Aiden's deck list had surgical extractions because they pair well with the discard, but I think if you're not running Douthie Voidwalker, you really need ley lines for the Delver matchup. Like, that's just one of the absolute pillars of Legacy right now. I think you need to mess around with that. I don't like Leyline with Bob. Like, that is absolutely a non-bo. But I think we just needed more cards for the Delver matchup because we're probably going to have a decent number of things that we want to board out. All right, this deck has run way too long, so let's go ahead and just hop into the games. Consider throwing me a like before this video begins. It helps out a lot. And if you want to get one of your own decks on the channel or you want to mess around with this deck list, that information's in the video description. Let's battle. I have a hand full of goodness, but not enough mana. We're going to go ahead and mulligan here. This hand is hot. What is this Dark Ritual doing? Dark Ritual might just be lilying. I'm getting rid of Sudden Edict or Chains because they're the most situational cards here. I think on the draw, when I want to commit my mana to other things first, I'm going to get rid of Chains and just be a little sad if my opponent is on a blue cantrip deck. Also of note, turn 2, like, Dark Ritual Tourach is also pretty damn legit. Blue cantrip deck. Yeah, the Sudden Edict is not going to be good here. But I have to respect Del. Chains. I believe I still turn 2 Tourach rather than turn 1 Chains. I'm a touch mana light here. Not enough that it's a problem, but if I don't draw more lands, I'm not the happiest boy. I could just tap 2 mana and Chains this turn. I think I'm more interested in Tourach right now. This card is some shit. Like, if you are playing a deck that is based on white removal, this card is hard as fuck to get rid of. Like, it doesn't get bounced by Teferi, it doesn't get Swords to Plowshare, Prismatic Endinged. If I had another discard spell like a Hymn to Tourach, I would absolutely lead on that first to try to protect this from Force of Will specifically. But this is a card where I think my opponent, like, has to Force of Will it. Ooh. Okay. So we were probably playing against, like, a Jeskai control deck with, like, Expressive Iteration. Alright. Who's a big boy? Oh my god, we hit double Expressive Iteration. Although, if our opponent is playing Lightning Bolt, they, like, can just answer this right now in a way that makes me quite sad. If that's a Prismatic Ending, that does not work. We are pro-white. Yeah. Yeah. Chains is gonna be not good, though, because they have Prismatic Ending. I'll probably play it and make them use it, and then, like, that protects the Bob from the Prismatic Ending. In the red zone we go. Good news is, a lot of times these decks are built to be heavier on white removal than they are on red removal. Like, Lightning Bolt and Unholy Heat are options. Okay, it has resolved. Again, I don't think this card does literally anything here. Oh? Oh, okay. That gets that out of play. It'll come back later. It will be much worse later. But now I'm definitely feeling missing my land drops. And get a Mystic Sanctuary and put an EI on top of deck. Oh, nope. Okay. Slightly different flavor than what I was expecting. Not great in this situation. I need more mana. I think my opponent has Prismatic Ending based on how they tapped their stuff before. I don't think I can play out Bob. I think I just have to cast this as a 2-1 this turn, despite the fact that, like, Bob would be dope. Alright. Let's see how bad this is. Also move this out of the way a little bit. EE. Okay. Not doing a great job of drawing lands, mostly. Alright. I would rather have my opponent use that card than take that card out of their hand. Like, I don't think I can just leave this unchecked to do whatever it wants. Definitely feeling my mulligan a little bit here. Okay. There's a Mystic Sanctuary for an EI. It was in hand. Why they didn't do that before. Okay. And do they have both Swords of Plowshares and Prismatic Ending? That's rough. They're just going to get, like, liquid metal coating here. Life's bad, folks. Okay, they're going for Ensnaring Bridge, which is not great for me, given that I am a black deck and can't really answer that. I'll play out a Bob here, but again, I think my opponent has a Prismatic Ending in hand. Can't get latticed immediately. Ugh. Okay, that's not great for me. I do kind of wonder if my opponent messed up their turn, though. Kind of think they were supposed to plus on their Ensnaring Bridge attack for 3 while they still had 3 cards in hand. And then do all the stuff that they just did. Alright. Well, actually, no. This is until your next turn. That exposes the bridge to a removal spell. It's not until end of turn. Okay, I take that back. Yeah. I have so little agency here. Then my opponent will end of turn Brazen Borrower, which can attack after they draw their card. Yeah. Not happy with my position. I should probably just concede, honestly. Actually, I think I just get latticed here, and I am just dead. Right, there's the Prismatic Ending that I put my opponent on earlier. I guess they don't have lattice. Because if they had lattice, I just lose the game instantly there. Yeah, there's the liquid metal coating. I'm going to go ahead and just concede to that. Like, this one's lost. I'm not going to drag it out here. I don't have a ton for this deck specifically. I don't really think Null Rod's good, despite the fact that my opponent does have a Karn package. I think this is fundamentally a control deck first. I don't mind boarding in opposition agents just as another threat. My sudden edicts aren't very good. I'm going to board in 2 opposition agents over those. Then do I want to go down lower on them? Like, I'll still have Liliana Edicts, the occasional creature that might be played. I think I do want to go lower on these, like play an Inquisition and like a Plague Engineer just as a 2/2, as silly as that sounds. Like, if you strip your opponent of all of their resources, you can win with the Simian Spirit Guide, right? This is a keep. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to play it, but this is a keep. Urza Saga is a turn 3 play in all likelihood with this hand. It could be turn 2 in some worlds. I think I just want a him first. Because if my opponent has Force of Will, that just gets 2 cards. I got a land out of their hand, and then I can follow up with Urza Saga Chains next turn in a lot of worlds. Except in the worlds where I draw like a black card that I want to play next turn. And we're not in that timeline. So there's Urza Saga into Chains, and we've kind of made our bed with this hand. And we'll see where it goes. This can just get Prismatic Ending away. But in the worlds where my opponent doesn't have Prismatic Ending in hand, like, this looks pretty hot. Alright. I don't think I want to actually play Castle Locthwain yet, in case we run into some sort of weird back-to-basics type scenario. Not that it would be, like, that weird. thing about Chains is, like, it's very hard to tell how good Chains is at any time, and it's also not great versus EI. What are we doing over there? Interesting. I kind of assumed this would be the scarier card. I am apparently wrong. The opponent has some sort of, like, wear terror type card or something, although if they had that, they would use... yeah, we'll see if we can figure out what's going on there. Another Castle Locked-Twain. They also just could have, like, a Dress Down or something. I am pithing needling the fuck out of this Scalding Tarn. Like, that was sloppy. Opponent, like, you gotta fetch in response to Urza Saga. Alright. So there's Scalding Tarn off. My opponent takes 3. They don't have access to red mana now, which means, like, no Meltdown type cards. Yep. There's the punish for not fetching. And now that potentially means that this Chains just gets to live. Pyroclasm. Okay. The Locked-Twain is a little awkward with the Chains here, I'm not gonna lie to you. Let's Inquisition and hope we take my opponent's best remaining card. Awkward if they have a Jace. I'd probably take Snapcaster Mage. Snapcaster Mage is not a good card right now, but it's a very good card later. Brainstorm's significantly worse than normal because of Chains. Alright. So let's play this. Throw out a Plague Engineer, and we'll, I guess, put it on human for a future Snapcaster Mage. Oh, okay. Sure. I am good with that exchange, and now we're hoping opponent doesn't specifically draw EI, because, like, that gets around Chains. I will hold this until my opponent's end step. Okay, that's all fine. And we'll throw this in play. Great. Let's start trying to hit for some damage. This is a really awkward Hymn to Tourach. I think I'm gonna play it out. It's really awkward if my opponent just, like, I don't know, if I just trade with a Snapcaster Mage in combat, like, that's fine. Maybe I just loot this away. Like, I think that's fine. I'm a little sad if my opponent has Snapcaster specifically. Otherwise, I think I'm good with this. If my opponent just saves up a second card, maybe I hymn them, but, like, the cards that they aren't playing are probably things like cantrips. I think I would like another threat, though. I think I'm good with this. So I'll discard him, turn it into another card. That is a worse card than him. Again, though, I think that's fine. Let's crash on in. Do I want to activate this? Yes. Let's do that, and I'm not going to worry about the incremental points of life here. I think, I don't play that land. Not 100% sure, though. Okay. That's a 1-for-1. Like, that's fine. That's very good. Yeah, let's just take whatever that card is. It was a Ponder, not a great card. And we'll hope to ride this Urza Saga to victory. But I would have kicked myself if I didn't, ooh, that's annoying. That's an Ensnaring Bridge. Next turn. I'm not very good at stopping that here. Well, I guess I get to, like, make a construct and make a construct, Pithing Needle that Karn. That helps me out in the short term. I think I'm going to play out this land. I have a lot of 3-drops in this deck, and I would very much like to activate Urza Saga and play a 3-drop next turn, while also having the flexibility to, like, I want to be able to Urza Saga plus 3-drop. ThrabenU Bridge. Very hard for me to win through an Ensnaring Bridge. Not a card that is common in Legacy right now to have to mess around with. Hey, that's not a bad draw. What? Oh fuck! I Pithing Needled earlier in the game. All right, I mean, we're racking. That's the win condition now. It's not crazy. All right, let's do a little bit of damage here. So essentially, I get to Lightning Bolt my opponent every turn. And this is something that just sits in play and beats Mycosynth Lattice. which is nice. Forgot about that. I mean, not that there was really anything that I could do about it. That's a pain in the butt. This is symmetrical, right? Yeah, that's symmetrical. So they just wait. And I thought I had it all figured out. All right, let's loot. Guard this. Get a Tourach. Or are you just gonna... Yeah, okay, that's fine. I think that's a bad play. Like, I think you can just wait. And nothing's going to punish you. How am I winning? Are my opponent fucking up their ensnaring bridge? Is probably the answer. That shouldn't happen. But we'll see if they live in that world. Yeah. Not even sure that I'm supposed to make another construct. Like, I can leave these at 2s and hope my opponent can't get stuff out of hand. Uh-huh. Yeah, I think that's my plan. Rather than make an additional construct token and make these bigger, I think I'll just go ahead and get rid of Tourach and get a new Tourach. Alright. Load a mana with this. I will search. I will not find. And draw again. Getting rid of Tourach. Okay, yeah, I'll play that out. Okay. We've got some tech, but I have no agency in the game anymore. It's 100% like, if, like, the only way I'm okay is if my opponent can't get cards out of hand. Which is not a good place to be. Alright, Karn is happening. I guess means Mycosynth Lattice. I am not technically dead to this. Oh, fuck. That is an unexpected downside. Because everything is now an artifact. Can I deal direct damage in any way other than the rack? Not without being able to cast spells. I'm going to go ahead and throw in the towel here. GG, we're not equipped to beat Ensnaring Bridge. Alright. I think I'm going to keep this hand. It's a little awkward in that, like, I really wish I had a Dark Ritual, because it's such a strong turn 2 Dark Ritual hand. But I'm going to hope that Waste Not does enough after Hymn to Tourach that it is worth me not doing, air quotes, not doing anything on turns 1 and 2. If it looks like my opponent is playing a broken combo deck, I might have to just him on turn 2. But we're hoping for something a little bit more fair here. Oh, awesome, my opponent actually just started playing Magic Online because of me. That's very cozy. Okay. Fair deck acquired. So, like, we will probably have time to play Waste Not. And in the very long term, this Tourach will probably be unbeatable for my opponent. If we're playing against, like, 60-card D&T. We'll see. Could be something else, like, could still be a control deck. Could be Soldier Stompy. I guess Thalia is awkward if I don't draw a land. Alright. Here we go. I will play this out prior to him. I can't think of anything that punishes me for that. I kind of think my opponent might have 3-1 Disenchant Bear. A Thar Commando. Ayo. I know how to call him. Alright. I just got some mana. I now have 4 mana. I can Lily and clear the board, or I can Hymn to Tourach my opponent again. I think I just want to Hymn to Tourach my opponent again. Like, because that does the whole Waste Not thing again. Oh my god. We popping off! We are popping off! Holy shit! Oh my god! What the fuck? Wombo combo! Oh my god. So now I get to Liliana? I can plus again? I just have to. I just have to. It's required under international law. I'll discard my chains, and then I'll sudden edict this Cathar Commando away using my floating mana. Oh my god. This is like the most disgusting turn of Magic I think I've ever played. Oh my god. Oh. Praise be to Keranos for that string. Like, holy crap. Oh. Alright, my opponent has a basic plains and a Stoneforge Mystic. Unfortunately, whatever equipment they get just eats it to Liliana plus here. Yeah, oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. Alright, we're playing against 60-card D&T. What do I want? I probably want Opposition Agent, Plague Engineer, Inquisition is a maybe. Chains are coming out here. We're not playing against a blue deck. We're kind of pre-boarded for blue. That gives us 3 of these things. I want to get this other Opposition Agent in, I think. But at this point, I kind of feel like most of my cards are good. Like, Chromox is a little awkward against Flickerwisp. But I really want that mana boost. Can the Rack go? The Rack can probably go. Like, there's some worlds where I don't find an Urza's Saga target because, like, I do that. But if I've reached that point, like, hopefully I've just overrun my opponent. Okay. That's fine. I've got a lot of lines covered. The scariest lines here involve my opponent having multiple high-impact 2-drops, like we see here. Okay. So, how good is my opponent here? Like, are they going to recognize how strong Rishadenport is against my deck, having seen so few cards? I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say yes, and take Stoneforge Mystic. It's so good if I bait them into playing Stoneforge Mystic next turn, and then I just get that equipment stuck in their hand, though. Maybe I can't beat Thalia plus Port. Although me taking Thalia here over Stoneforge tells them, like, hey, mana denial is good against me. But it's so good if they just, like, tap out to play Stoneforge Mystic here. F. That's fine. Let's draw a Dark Ritual, like the skillful magician that I am. Nope. Alright, land go. So, like, the next hoop is, like, is my opponent going to play around Opposition Agent? Slash, like, are they just going to have Swords to Plowshares up anyway? Ooh, okay, so little misplay from my opponent. They didn't play out the Wasteland that I knew about. So I don't know that I like that. Got a land tapped. I will float the mana this time, though. Alright. So this is going to be me leaving up Sudden Edict for Stoneforge Mystic, I think. I just can't risk missing with him to Tourach here. It's just, like, way too detrimental. Okay, yep. Alright, just little tip for people playing against Stoneforge Mystics out there. If you have a removal spell, it's almost always correct to let them search first, because they're more likely to get an expensive card that gets stuck in their hand. Yep, there we go. And then I'll go ahead and Sudden Edict this out of the way, and I can hopefully go and him to Tourach a lot of this stuff out of hand. I am unsure as to whether or not I will have the time to cast a Waste Knot, especially under double Rishadenport. Yeah, opponent is not playing out this Wasteland that I know about. Amulet, when you watch this later, like, play out the known lands first. It matters. I don't know whether or not my opponent knows the priority trick here, but I think I'm going to go ahead and pass priority to them. Okay, they do know the priority trick. You want to spread that mana out over multiple phases whenever possible. All right. Opponent has 4 cards. Do I want to him to Tourach? Or do I want to greed and play Waste Knot? If I wait, there's a good chance that, like, my opponent plays Wasteland, and then I'm less likely to hit that land and more likely to hit Caldra, which is a very tough card to beat. So I think I'm on board with waiting. It'll be awkward if my opponent Flicker Wisps from Mox, though. Okay. What are we looking at? Sanctum Prelate on 2. That's a little awkward for me. That slows me down a lot. We'll throw a Waste Knot under that. I can Lily that at some point in the future, but that's tough. All right, I assume this now stays at 3 forever. Opponent doesn't have a Yorion that they're working to. All right, there's the Wasteland that I knew about. I can also just Opposition Agent and ambush that thing in combat. Okay, Thalia's annoying. Or some Plowshares. Actually, Thalia might end up being okay for me. That might help me. I don't know. It's really hard to ambush that when they have Swords to Plowshares. All right. I draw a land. I can Liliana this turn. I don't think I do anything with my mana here. Oh, baby. Do I Liliana? I probably Liliana. I know both of my opponent's cards. I can Lily plus if I want. I can also just force my opponent to use Swords to Plowshares to save this. That's 2 mana. My mana's really locked down. I think I need to Lily while I can Lily. Like, taking out either one of those cards is a win on current board. Like, Thalia Caracas would be a major pain in the butt. I'm about to get Wastelanded, double ported, and I will have looming threat of Caldra. Alright, goodbye, Lily. Okay, that's just clicking on the wrong ability. That was... Oh, nope. Well, the good news is I'm only getting single ported. The bad news is Urza Saga is gone. Yes, that's fine. I want this to be a surprise on my opponent's turn. Dark Ritual, kind of a dead card right now. If I can successfully somehow ambush Sanctum Prelate, it's no longer a bad card because it potentially allows some absolute nonsense. But, like, I know my opponent has swords, which is super inconvenient. Both of these swing in. I do this nonsense. I get swords. It'll open up my mana for a decent top deck. There's the swords. I net take 1 this turn after the life gain from swords is taken into account. Alright. What do we got? That's fine. Expected. Another 2-drop is not great for me. Also, my opponent might get wise to how good Sanctum Prelate is and stop attacking with it to play around another opposition agent, which would be one of the things that beats them right now. We'll see. They also might rationalize that they have to just keep putting the pressure on. So we'll see what they think. Okay. Yeah, they are not playing around another opposition agent, unfortunately for me. Love, love, love for them to play around that and me to take less damage right now. Mom is setting me up for a better Plague Engineer. This is fine. Bob is scary, but just so you know, Sanctum Prelate is non-creature spells. So this does work. Opponent has 3 cards in hand currently. They'll probably go down a card or so this turn. Bob makes it harder to... Or, sorry, Mom makes it harder to do this trade. Yeah, and my opponent recognizes that. I'm just going to take the 4 and hope to get a Plague Engineer in some capacity, because that takes out both of these cards. All right, Bob. Be good to me. I mean, sure. Dark Ritual. That's fine. We'll proceed to my draw step, and then they'll port me again. That's not too bad. I can double Dark Ritual to kick Tourach. Makes it harder to Plague Engineer, but I think I need to do it. Dark Rit, which are noticeably worse because of Thalia. I'll go ahead and cast this with a kicker. Hope my opponent doesn't do something gross off an Aether Vial in response. At this point, I kind of want them to keep the Caldra in hand. Alright. Caldra is gone. and a borderline dead Aether Vial. My opponent is potentially supposed to just, like, give one of these creatures pro black and crash in and just try to 2 to 3 turn clock me depending on what happens with my Bob. I'm so close to taking over this game. Like, this is a razor's edge situation for my opponent. I think they're favored. Alright, my opponent has dropped a Wasteland into play. Ooh, we've got a spell of some kind. Probably like a Skyclave makes sense? No, because they would vial that in. What is that then? Jitte with tax? Jitte with tax is guaranteed 2-turn clock. That's scary. Okay, yeah, there's the pro black on Thalia. So they're gonna crash in and hope to kill me before I do cool shit. Alright, I'm down to 4. Alright, Bob. Plague Engineer. Now, actually, you reveal land. That's fine. Like, you reveal land. There is a lot of damage. That's not good. So this goes down here. These aren't playable. This is not playable. This is not playable. Opponent has guaranteed lethal if they go for it. I'm just not going to concede in the hopes that they do not go for it. I think they do. I would. Because it takes Dark Ritual plus targeted removal spell. Alright. That's going to be the game, unfortunately. I will go ahead and concede here. We were so close to breaking through that game. A couple of top decks went well for my opponent. That is what it is. Do I want an extra Inquisition when I am on the play over one of these other cards? Not really. I'm hoping Tourach becomes my endgame mana sink. Hand is really fucking tough. I think I just mulligan and try to take advantage of the fact that I'm on the play here. Like, if I keep this Urza Saga-based hand in, like, Pithing Needle Wasteland in the dark or something, then I'm not playing this Liliana of the Veil out on curve. I think I'm just going to mulligan. I'm going to keep this hand. I believe we put a Swamp on bottom, and then just fucking YOLO Tourach on turn 1, and say, deal with my pro-white ass. Makes my top deck discard spells insane. Very bad. Well, it's kind of bad versus Karakas, actually. Yeah, I would say kind of bad versus Karakas. We imprint a Tourach, Dark Ritual, pick Tourach, and there's a world where we just take my opponent's lands and then their hand does nothing. Karakas, very good here. Until I get to 4 mana. Alright. I will be at 4 mana next turn. 4. Opponent goes to 16. They don't have Karakas in hand, or they would have just innately bounced this. Oh, is that it? Okay, no. Alright, they do have another land. Thalia is fine. I don't think I care about that this game. Him. Okay, alright. So, I know I just said that. That's a little cruel, if I'm being honest. I have exactly 1 4-drop in my deck, and I drew it after crapping on my Lady Thalia. That's for my hubris. I understand. This card will be good, though, assuming I do draw another land. But I'd rather just draw him, speed up the clock. All. Okay. Aldra's gone. Batterskull's good here. They have Batterskull in hand? Might have Batterskull in hand. Okay. Do I attack? If I attack and my opponent has the 4th land, it's very, 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 very bad for me. Like, probably game-losingly bad. So I probably can't attack, unfortunately. This is not good for me, though. Because this means that we're slowing the pace of the game to my opponent's pace, rather than, like, my high-tempo pace. And this gives my opponent more time to draw Karakas, which ruins me. I wanted this to just be, like, 5 hits. you die. Like, that was the plan, and we were hoping to draw some discard to further fuel that plan. This will scale outside of range of a Batterskull Germ token in the long run. Ooh. That's very good. One of my opponent's few outs to that card. I can draw a discard this turn and take the equipment that my opponent got with Stoneforge, though. Like, that would be very nice. Whoa. That is bold. I'm not blocking, but, like, my opponent takes 2 damage here, and I don't know that they are the beatdown here. Chain of Tourach is great. A little mana intensive right now. Is Sorin better? With Jitte on board, I believe... Or sorry, with Jitte in hand, I believe the answer is no. I would just like to take Jitte the vast majority of the time here. Unsure if I play Castle Locthwain, but I am going to. Alright, let's try to take that piece of equipment. Kappa. That's super annoying. Like, it is what it is. Like, Chain of Tourach is a random discard. But we get that most of the time. Because we have a 1 in 3 chance, followed by a 50% chance to grab it. Alright. So, there's the Jitte in play, which kills Bob. And makes my Sorin considerably worse. I'm fine. Like, I have things like Pithing Needle that can be good against this. But this is a strong board presence for my opponent. That's a great draw. That at least kills the Thalia. And then trades with Stoneforge in combat. Yep. Alright, goodbye Thalia. And hopefully I can play Sorin and try to take over the game from there. I'm at a low-ish life total, which is not great for me. Yeah, that's fine. Like, I am good with trading in combat here. Some portion of the time, it leaves the board empty this turn for my Planeswalker to take over the game in the future. Yep, that's all fine. And 2 Jitte counters happen. Opponent forgot Plague Engineer had Death Touch. That's fine. You still probably attack anyway. Yeah, especially given that as a follow-up. This Sorin is probably just going to be a bad card draw. Love a removal spell here. Okay, if I play Sorin for 5 mana, I can create a 2/3 blocker that buys me a turn, and then I can activate it next turn. Again, in some capacity. A little awkward versus, like, Flicker Wisp and Swords to Plowshares. But I think that's better than playing Waste Not this turn. Because, like, there's a lot of worlds where I get Wastelanded next turn. Let's make basically a Vampire Nighthawk. It lacks Death Touch, though, like, as a flying lifelinker. And missing that Jitte on him was brutal. And now, like, future Tourachs that I draw potentially just die to Jitte. Alright, is this an equip, or is this a spell? This is an equip. Yep, alright. Attacking the Planeswalker, as expected. I'll block. My opponent will pump. I will be sad and not gain life. Yep. So, they get 2 more Jitte counters, which is scary. I don't think playing that Aether Vial is better than either porting me or wastelanding me. Alright. How do I win? In a lot of worlds, it's by plussing Sorin and getting an Edict effect that clears the board, or a Pithing Needle. Alright. Come on, Sorin. Oh! Yeah, I'll use that ability. Cost me 3 mana to do this. I can Sudden Edict and play Bob. That only accomplishes getting a Jitte counter out of the way. I don't think that's worth it. Let's do this. Oh, actually, with the Thalia gone, I can then play a Waste Not. Not that I think that it's going to have a high impact on the game or anything, but there's worlds. Yeah, and now I guess a lot of this game is now on, like, what does my opponent draw? guess one upside to playing out a Bob is that if my opponent uses a counter on it, then next turn I can create an X3 creature. And they're running on fumes. It's so good for me if they're running on fumes. By the way, that Sudden Edict top deck, very good. Makes up for the him miss earlier. Skyclave. You cost 4. That's pretty good. Now my opponent is Hellbent, so my Waste Knot doesn't do a lot. Okay, that's fine. I would like a removal spell or a Pithing Needle would be very good. Another Waste Knot, huh? Can't play out Bob. There's worlds where, well, maybe I do. Is Bob, like Bob is just worth 2 life. I think that's fine. I think my life total is just too low to win if I let this just connect for 8. It just makes something as stupid as a Mother of Runes off an Aether Vial lethal. Yeah. There's the 2 life. Oh, okay. In case it's not clear what I mean, like this can activate for +2/+2. So I'm essentially trading Bob for being at 2 higher life. Yeah. There's the equip. I probably get hit for 6. My opponent might play a little more conservative than that, but I don't know that they have to. All right. Are you activating? Yes and yes. I am at 3 instead of 1. Most of my blockers are not going to be good here. And we'll see what happens. I have drawn a land, unfortunately, which means that I am dead. We couldn't quite claw back into that one. GG's. Well played. All right. I've kept my hand here. In the grand scheme of things, I don't think this hand is particularly special, but it is a nice controlling hand that has a good end game and has something that it can put into play early. Elves? Oh, lands. Well, oh, okay. We got like some wetlands over there for Uro. That means I actually have a good turn 2 play. I don't want to put Urza Saga into play yet. Oh, cool. Chains just resolved. Rack not doing damage yet. We'll work on that. All right. It is blue 8 mulch. Oh, opponent got a Boseiju and then put multiple life from the loams in graveyard. Rough. Liliana is very much not good. Where's my chains? Alright. There are my edicts for that matter. Where's my rack? You know what? F me. Neither is my Urza Saga. Everything's ruined. We're gonna plus getting rid of Sudden Edict. And it has Maze too. And Wasteland. Oh my god. Do I scoop the whole round now, or like do we play this out? Cause holy crap, like my bases are just so covered. A lot of my discard spells miss. Just yikes. Like just yikes. Well, maybe Ultimate a Liliana at some point. Adwara bounce planeswalkers. Yeah. God damn it. Like, my opponent just wastelands the Urza Saga. I'm so screwed. I just can't win. Like, Wasteland Recursion is a thing. Field of the Dead will take over the game. My edicts are bad. My discard's bad. Everything's bad. I'm on fire. At least they gave me more land. And like, if I end up in a Waste Not situation, that just makes mana. Like, because my opponent's going to discard lands rather than relevant spells. I guess if they miss Otawara Bouncing Lily, I can still... Oh, it's Treasure Hunt. That's what the blue is for. It's probably Treasure Hunt and Uro. Okay. What did that get? Wasteland, Boseiju, Grove. Okay. Well, my opponent didn't realize it up to this point, so... operating under the assumption that they don't realize what's going on. They do realize. So they were just willing to lose half of their permanents? Question mark, question mark, question mark? Okay. Alright. Everything's back in graveyard, but life is awful, and, like, this literally can never ultimate, and my opponent can always kind of play around it. I'm gonna concede. Like, it's not fucking happening. I tried to take the high upside play of, like, skimming my opponent and then getting half of their permanents, and I got punished for it. That was greedy from my opponent, in my opinion. All my cards are bad, and I should feel bad. What on earth do I do? I think I board the Sudden Edicts out. Like, they have some utility, but they're just so bad versus Field of the Dead that I don't think I can ever play them. I think I play Ley Lines, board out Chains, board in Opposition Agent, and I guess one Surgical or Inquisition. Surgical's just, like, very bad if you're also playing Leyline. But it's not like Inquisition is great. I can probably, for free, make that change. I can get rid of more discard spells, but I'd just be bringing in a 2/2 like Engineer. Yes. I am going to keep this. I think I just Inquisition on turn 1 to get information. Potentially take. That was sloppy from my opponent. They could have pitched Mulch to Force of Vigor the Leyline out of play. Really awkward for me to play out these cards in the face of a Force of Vigor, which is still remaining in hand, though. So there's that. I don't think I can play out either one of these here. I might just play out Tourach as a 2/1. I don't really like that. Play towards a decent turn 4 and try to keep this Waste Not alive. Let's shut off this card. And if opponent doesn't draw a green card, I actually get to keep my shit. See? Okay. Opponent got a Field of the Dead. That is a Liliana. Awkward that I didn't play out the Waste Not last turn after that draw. Am I giving up on Waste Not? Waste Not into Tourach next turn. Or sorry, Lily into Tourach next turn. Always this. Yeah, I think I need to start chipping away at my opponent's cards. Waste Not and Tourach do similar things. They have discarded a snow-covered forest. I guess this breeding pool is revealed from earlier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, cool. I know what's up. Hopefully I get to keep this stuff around. Is an unkicked Tourach. Then I plus this. Alright, they got rid of a Field of the Dead. Okay, we did not eat Force of Vigor yet. That's nice. Force of Vigor is now hard castable, though. Didn't do great in that capacity. Oh, this Leyline timing is super awkward. I think I just have to hit my opponent for as hard as I can with Tourach. So I think I just accept this. So my opponent hardcasts this, taking out both of these. Seiju is gone. I crash in for 4 and then get Force of Vigored. I have a Scaling Threat, but my opponent's graveyard is back on. Mana Bond's not that scary right now. It's a little scary. Okay. They have put their Boseiju into play. I'm pretty sure I just ultimate Liliana here. I don't show them the Urza Saga before I do that. Let's hit with Tourach. Bring them to 12. Ultimate Lily. I think I like the idea of putting them on colored mana versus Mana Bond utility land that takes care of Urza Saga and Field. I think they just have to keep the pile with green mana. Well, I'm fucking wrong. Alright. I don't know that they have enough green sources in the deck to actually make that decision. Like, happening, but like, I have a 3-turn clock in play. I don't think you can keep that hand. Okay, yeah. Looks like they're just passing the turn. Yep. I am. Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, I think they messed that up. It's also possible that they physically picked the wrong pile. The way Liliana is worded, player sacrifices all permanents in the pile of their choice. And I've definitely gotten that one wrong. Just thinking I pick the pile I keep. So, Force of Vigor specifically is a reason to run Thoughtseize over Inquisition. And then I think I'm good. I'm not going to like board in double Plague Engineer in the hope of drawing both of them to kill all of my opponent's zombies forever. I don't think that's super realistic. I do think this matchup is unfavorable, though. I'm going to keep this. Like, I have both a Tourach and a Waste Not to try to get, and a Bob to get accumulated advantage over time. And, like, Thoughtseize is a great turn 1 play to bridge. It's not as good as it possibly can be. But hopefully we take, like, a Winding Way or a Mulch or a Treasure Hunt. And slow my opponent down a little bit. I just really think like maybe this is tough enough that I mulligan to a ley line. Right. Okay, no crop rotation. Okay, there's a mulch and a treasure hunt. Someone did the math for this in my comments on a previous video. There is a mathematically correct answer here. I just don't remember what it is. I think I don't want them to just like go into another mulch or loam or something. I'm gonna take the treasure hunt here. And we'll see what happens with the mulch. There's island. All right, mulch. How bad are you? Not too bad. God, these Bosages are really annoying, though. I think I'm going to force my opponent to use their mana or Bosaju. And if they don't, I will go wild and absolutely strip their hand. Okay, there's Misty gone. I guess I can do it in response to him, awkwardly for me. Yeah, that was just objectively a mistake, since this is giving me access to more mana. If I had an opposition agent here, I punish my opponent for that. Yes, and this also... Yeah. I don't have any instants, though. I will, however, have a gross fucking turn. Is this an Urza Saga turn? So I go, Waste Not him, which probably produces 4 mana for Tourach. This is probably the Urza Saga turn. Let's do it. Alright. Waste Not. What response do you have? Holding up a Crop Rot? Yes, you are holding up a Crop Rot. That's fine. I don't care about the Urza Saga. Like, and again, I don't think you have to do that with that timing. I don't think you have to commit to that until you see what's about to happen. Okay. What do we hit? Volk and Waterlog Grove. So opponent's last card is Otawara. I go up to 4 mana. I cast this with Kicker, discarding Otawara. Let's always yield to these things. This is disgusting when it works. And then I also get to play out a Bob. Yeah, good turn. Very good turn. Like, damn it. Okay. This is fine. I will attack in for 2 points of damage with extra steps. Oh, opponent does not realize this is legendary. Yeah, I'll just hold up opposition agent then. Okay, good stuff. We are on the board with a win. I potentially should have played the opposition agent in my opponent's upkeep as well. But if they draw a fetch land and I just hit them for this much, that's fine. Like, them missing that this is Caracasable was pretty huge there. All right, round 4. We're 1 and 2 currently, I believe. I don't have enough mana here. I'm going to go ahead and mulligan this. Yeah, this is a keep. It's a really tough hand to play. The Dark Ritual can represent turn 1 Bob. It can represent turn 2 Kicked Tourach. It can represent turn 1 Lily. I'm not 100% sure what I want to do with this hand. I'm going to put away the Sudden Edict and attempt to play Lily into Bob, I think. Maybe throwing away Tourach is better than Sudden Edict, in case my opponent plays a turn 1 threat that actually threatens Lily, but that's somewhat unlikely. Oh, Force is very bad for me here, especially since I probably need to play Bob on curve into both Lightning Bolt and Daze. Not happy with that, but like this has more potential later. Yeah, I think I have to just accept that this has more potential later and make this play. And oh, no Lightning Bolt, no Daze. Okay. Some things looking up. Either that or opponent just has like Dragon Rage Channeler and wants to get extra value. Ooh, black. We're potentially playing against a Grixis control deck. I don't really love my hand versus control. The Sudden Edict is bad. Ooh, but if the Bob lives, though, that's an entirely different thing. God damn it! I don't want Sudden Edict. I will crash in for 2 with Bob. Opponent drops to 16, and I think I just need to put this into play. Like, I think this just needs to happen. We've got a Spell Pierce. Spell Pierce, as well as all cards of that general nature, are currently bugged on Magic Online. By the way, you do have to click no twice to those. Okay. You come into my house. You come into my house and make me discard with Hymn to Tourach. How dare you? Let's bash with Bob, and then we'll go ahead and play Liliana. Our Dark Ritual or Liliana could potentially get got by another Spell Pierce. But the upside here is just way too high to ignore. So let's see if we get to Planeswalk. Oh, hell yeah, we get to Planeswalk. Let's go. Okay. So, opponent's got 1 card left. It's not something that answers Bob. It could be something like a Jace. Oh, it is a Bob of their own. All right, opponent, I love your deck. Like, let's be real. Okay. So, minus and Edict you. Play out a Swamp. Bash for 2 with Bob. We're very far ahead here, but I don't really have tools that do stuff in hand currently. Like, if my Bob gets destroyed, I'm not actually in that great of a position. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'll play a Pithing Needle. Just, like, Shot in the Dark, probably name Jace the Mind Sculptor. Like, I could name a fetch land, but opponent has 4 mana play already. Ooh, they are grabbing a Lightning Bolt for my Liliana. Alright. Good play. I will go ahead and name Jace. I don't think I plus my Lily here. The Hymn to Tourach. Potentially has some value later. An awkward game here. Because I plus this, I lose my Hymn to Tourach, and Lightning Bolt kills Lily. But if I don't plus this, like, I can't plus it in future turns. I think I accept that awkwardness and just stare at my opponent. I think I accept that awkwardness. Yeah. I'm plus 1 card for accepting that. My opponent could have just continued that game, but their red mana is taxed right now. And they top deck an EI, they very much, or like a, what's his name? Consumes All Dude. Consumes All Dude might be a reason to not, play Shadow Spear. Hit it, Sugu. Ooh. A command is good. I convinced my opponent that I had a good card in hand. I guess that's nice. Castle Lockdwain is not a good card to draw on that turn, because like drawing a discard spell would have been so much more potent. But more long term, like that is a very good effect to have access to, and hopefully this like draws me an answer to the Bob in some capacity. Or more land. Is there any world in which I need to play a 1-drop right now? If I draw it, the rack. I draw exactly the rack I want to have drawn this card already. I think I'm going to accept missing on that draw to better play around my opponent getting a Hymn to Tourach or discard effect. Pyroblast. Wrong zone. Need this. Alright. I take 2 off Bob, go to 12. That's not that big of a deal. But I don't have a lot. Ooh, ho, 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 ho. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Holy shit. Those are some draws. There's Sorin. It might be better to plus here, honestly. Has Pyroblast and Mystery Card. Mystery Card's somewhat likely to be removal, since it's not a counterspell. I think I'm just going to plus here. Yes, I will put that into my hand. I don't know, like maybe with the Urza Saga coming, I don't have to do that. Okay, cool, that's fine. But like, if Bob is focused on trying to keep this thing in check while I have Urza Saga ticking up, I think I'm just in a really good position, just period. Okay, Yep, that's fine. All right. Ooh. Damn, that is really good. It works out perfectly with my mana as well. All right. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro. Okay, cool. It thought, what is this? Ghastly Demise. Very target non-black creature. Huh. Fancy that. Now I will go ahead and make a baby vampire Nighthawk with 3 creatures to protect my planeswalker. I'm now pretty happy with life. My opponent's Bob is also potentially scary for them. Okay, land drop made. And I think my opponent is about to feel the pain. There's also potentially just like a rack coming. Well, I can't really say a rack, right? Like it's the rack, definite article. Oh, speaking of the rack. Oh, that's slightly awkward because I think that means I'm just getting a Chrome Mox out of my deck that's not really good. Now, like, I'll do that. No exile. I am fine with just Sorin plussing for information now. Yes, I will take 1 to not have that on top of my library. I will play out a rack to grow my construct that can actually attack. Yeah, that was powerful. Okay, this is subtle, but we did get an important piece of information here. My opponent is playing Ghastly Demise, so that means that they care about the number of cards in their graveyard, which probably means they're not playing Hidetsugu Consumes All. So we're probably playing against like a Snapcaster Mage type build. Okay, what am I doing? Plague Engineer to get rid of Snapcasters and Baleful Strix and stuff seems fine. Opposition Agent is fine. I could play like Leylines or Surgicals. I just don't really know that they're good. Like, I don't know if my opponent is going super hard on the graveyard with like some Thought Scour levels of jank or anything like that. And like Turbo Gurmags are part of their plan. Or if they don't really use their graveyard outside of something like Snapcaster. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I really like Chrome Mox here. Chrome Mox is coming out for Opposition Agent. Like, my opponent just has Culligan's Command, so my artifacts are a little sketch. Maybe I'm not sideboarding much. My Sudden Edicts actually aren't great. Am I fine having no Sudden Edicts? Let's say yes. My opponent doesn't. Oh, I can have 1 Sudden Edict? Sure. That's probably fine. Let's just go ahead and submit this. Drains! I mean, keep. Alright. That's fine. Opponent can potentially brainstorm in response to my Thoughtseize, but I'm still doing it. Probably taking the most value-oriented card in my opponent's hand. Or, more accurately, that's left in my opponent's hand. Oh, it was a Flusterstorm instead. Absolutely. Note, I have to say no to that twice. Okay, cool. Land drop. I did not get himmed immediately, which is good, because that means Castle Locthwain gets to get into play. I think I like slamming Chains this turn, and then both Thoughtseize and Bob next turn. Now, opponent can find a Spell Pierce here. And if they don't, this card probably sticks. Like, it is tough for Grixis to take an enchantment out of play. Nice. So, like, Cantrips, Jace, Baleful Strix, cards of that nature have really just gotten mitigated. Okay, sure. EI, though. EI, notably, dodges Chains because this doesn't actually draw a card. Oh, but Brainstorm entered the exile zone, and opponent is stuck on 2 lands. Holy shit, that is bad for them. I would like to Thoughtseize my opponent this turn. Awkward for me. I kind of just want to take the EI. My opponent's super stuck in terms of mana here. EI is their way out of that. Lightning Bolt trades with Bob, Force of Will, and Snapcaster trade with Lily. And I just kind of rely on my top decks to beat my opponent. Yeah, I think I'm good with that. Alright. Good stuff. Let's see where this goes. Like, oh my gosh, is my opponent going to let me draw cards? Holy shit. That is wild to me. Okay, I think I need to do a pre-combat Lily of the Veil to take out Snapcaster Mage and Force of Will in case my opponent has some sort of crazy plan to flash in Snapcaster. Ooh, they do have a crazy plan to flash in Snapcaster. Okay. Sure. No, actually, they don't have a crazy plan to flash in Snapcaster. They want to save that for an EI. All right, I will still attack. Okay. I want to get this card out of my hand, but I think I actually just named Scalding Tarn here rather than a Planeswalker. I haven't seen a Scalding Tarn yet this game, and I know my opponent is stuck on mana. Like, if my opponent gets to the point where a Jace is good, things have gotten awkward for me. And I'm so fucking surprised that my opponent has not killed my Dark Confidant. Like, that is just wild to me. Like, I am obviously very good with it, but this doesn't make a lot of sense to me. All right, so let's play this. Put on humans, since I know they have Snappy over there. And pass the turn. Okay, that's fine. Now, if my opponent does get the third... I mean, you already gave me 2 bonus draws out of Dark Confidant. Not an enchant world. Nether Void's the enchant world. Okay. I think my life total's super relevant. I'm just gonna go ahead and do this now in case I draw Urza's Saga specifically. I am a fucking genius. Alright. With that established, let's play another Chains, I think. Just get that card out of my hand for the sake of future Castle Locthwain activations, costing less life. Dark Confidant is very good. That is card advantage that dodges Chains. But it sure doesn't dodge Liliana of the Veil. That's very good here. I will still Edict. The plus here is pretty damn good too. Do I hold this? Activate, still play 3-drop. Maybe since I have Liliana in play, I just go ahead and play that out. My position is extremely strong. Another Dark Confidant's pretty good for my opponent. But I think I just overrun them very quickly with construct tokens here. Oh, that's a great draw too. Alright. So do some soul searching here. The rack's good, Shadow Spear's good. I think I'm just gonna take the rack. So then I just him my opponent. I take out their Snapcaster and their Liliana Last Hope. Go ahead and just plus this. Crash in for 4. Which more realistically is like 7 because of the rack. Yes, you may absolutely ponder. That was a dominant performance. Now we're up to 2 and 2. Yeah, great. All right, I have kept my opening hand for round 5 here. We're starting with an early Thoughtseize, and then we'll get a feel for which one of the... Okay. These is going to be better. Chains is not good. Rack's not good. Waste not. Potentially good in the future. I think I just have to take the Aether Vial here to force my opponent to play mana for their spells. This is not the blue deck that I was hoping for with a Chains in hand here. They love E. I also want to hold Castle Locthwain for as long as possible due to Wasteland. Also going to get ported. Means probably holding Dark Ritual in hand. Playing out the rack here doesn't really do anything. I'm just going to go ahead and slam a Waste Not and hope we draw like Hymn to Tourach and go wild or something. Looking for him, looking for Bob. Liliana is good. Silent Edict to just kind of keep board parity is not bad either. Opponent's going to be in this situation where like they decide whether or not they're playing Pile Driver or porting me. I think you just play out the Pile Driver. Oh, Lackeys. Very good for them and very fucking bad for me, though. Holy moly. Yeah, this is like the sort of thing that I was hoping to avoid, and I failed at avoiding it, unfortunately. Yeah, everything's bad. Everything's bad. That Goblin Lackey is just gonna steal the game. I can try to do some cool shit with constructs, but this is a huge amount of mana advantage, which is like what I was trying to avoid by taking the Aether Vial in the first place. So this is just like hands off the keyboard. Whatever happens, happens. Potentially a draw 4. It can also just be like tutor for something that helps to. Ooh, you have white as well. Is that just for sideboard options? Or are there main deck, like prismatic endings or something? I guess we'll find out. Alright, there's a ringleader. Finds munitions expert and war chief. I'm probably just getting my Urza Saga ported. There's worlds where that doesn't happen. Or my opponent is just like, I'll just beat you with goblins. Okay, there's a pile driver. Yeah. This is just turn 3. My opponent did not deny me constructs. I am on board with just ritualing this out. It is excuse me, it is not the most like mana efficient or like words like resource good resource good play. But it might just be what I need to do here. Makes next turn worse if I draw like a Liliana or something. I already think game 1 is a little rough though here. Going for the Castle Lochtwain. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Yeah, that's a fat pile driver. This is gonna be a munitions expert on this token. Oh no, it's not. Thought it was going to be. I want to trade with this. Is soaking up this damage worth it? Soaking up this damage might be worth it, because my edicts are better the fewer creatures there are, and it might just be a munitions expert now to save the lackey. I don't know, it seems like that was already supposed to happen, but like I don't know what's in my opponent's hand, so maybe I'm wrong. Okay, there is the munitions expert. Got the construct. Fine, I can attempt to kill lackey next turn, and I've taken the highest impact card out of play here. Like, I just have 3 permanents in play that I haven't managed to get any value out of. Also, they just didn't play a land for the rack, I guess. That feels like a mistake to me. Alright, Shadow Spear or just Pithing Needle Rashadenport? I think I need to Pithing Needle Rashadenport so my second Urza Saga can later find the Shadow Spear. Port. Play new Urza Saga. Hope opponent doesn't have another removal spell goblin. I don't know, maybe they have a really important card in hand they're trying to protect from like a top decked Hymn to Tourach or something, but like I'm almost certainly sinking mana into Urza Saga for value. Alright, something is happening. Patron? Okay. That occurs. My opponent has taken themselves off of 2 colors, but that potentially doesn't matter. We'll stare at each other for a little while. This Liliana will be very good. My opponent is likely to discard creatures, and then I get 2/2 zombies. The issue is that, like, Matron just sets my opponent up. Oh, that works too. Is it just colorless permanent? Yeah, colorless non-land permanent. Okay. Yeah, I'm dead here. Magus of the Moon handily beat me. So this is just like 6 damage plus a Matron trigger. I guess I'm not going to concede, because if I draw exactly Hymn to Tourach, there's worlds where I just go the fuck off. But yeah, my opponent just gets to get a Muxus here, which is really strong. Sudden Edict. That does nothing. I will concede here. Good hand, wrong matchup. Alright, Opposition Agent and Plague Engineer are very good. Null Rod and Inquisition are maybe playable if I have to fill slots beyond that. I do not like Chains. I do not like the rack, but I think the rack made my opponent play badly, so maybe I keep it. I do kind of like discard, mostly because of synergies with Waste Snot. I need to keep Thoughtseize over switching one for an Inquisition because of things like Muxus. Magus of the Moon for my Urza Sagas is a pain in the butt. Can I actually protect a Sorin? Is that realistic? Like, is a 2/3 black vampire token enough to protect that Planeswalker? I'm sure. I think I'm going to board out Tourach. Like, I think it made my opponent miss a land drop that game, which is super cool for me, but I don't know that it's good in a vacuum. This is a great 1-2-3 curve. It's a little scary if my opponent has multiple good 1-drops. Otherwise, this is really strong. It will still be reliant on some top decks to find, like, a Bob or a Tourach or some other source of card advantage. Let's take their early game plays here. Like, Matron is absolutely a better card than Crater Maker, but I'm hoping him to Tourach into Lily disrupts some amount of what's going on here. All right. One Mire down. Play different Swamp Arts for value. Cast him, see what we get. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, so we took the early play, so my opponent can't play anything this turn unless they top deck it, and then, like, we hit both Matrons. And at this stage, with multiple lands in hand, I'm good with this. So let's start plussing. I'll plus. I don't need Dark Ritual for any reason here. Get rid of that Badlands. Call it a turn. Opponent can make a meaningful play this turn. Like, they absolutely can play. Nope. Great for me. Oh, that's fantastic for me as well. Let's just plus before they get information that I'm about to drop an Urza Saga. I guess top decking Urza Saga exactly is a reason to keep Dark Ritual, but it's probably going to work out okay. I can Pithing Needle this Aether Vial if I feel like that's a thing that I want to do. Oh wow, opponent has bottomed out real hard here. Okay. Infinite Swamps. Let's plus Liliana. Opponent has gotten rid of Serenity. Yeah, I don't actually have all that many artifacts and enchantments. Like, now I know what the white is for. Like, I was suspecting Prismatic Ending. I guess if I get rid of their Serenity, then, like, my Urza Sagas do better work. Okay. Bob is cool and playable this turn as well. This is just a Pithing Needle, that Aether Vial situation, I think. Aether Vial. I guess I don't need to play pre-combat Bob. I guess I can go ahead and attack first. Get my colorless lightning bolt worth of damage in. Alright, opponent goes to 17. Play out Bob. It'll be very good if my opponent does Serenity me. I think I'm fine just continuing to plus this. I don't think I need to treat this as a land destruction spell immediately. Like, I'm better against a Serenity if I keep this Liliana in play. No, I can get rid of this as well. There's one Badlands there and one in play. Feels like opponent might have been protecting something like a Ringleader, which would have been a reason to just minus and treat that as a land destruction spell, but it doesn't feel that crazy to me. Yeah, that's fine. It's good against Liliana, notably, but I can very easily deal with that. Okay, let's ultimate a Liliana here. Free combat. Yeah, that's fine. I was probably planning on splitting it, like, Flingang and Goblin this, and versus, where they keep, like, one land and can't play anything they draw but get some immediate blocks. I would have thought about it a little bit more, but that was kind of the direction that I was going. Do I want another Inquisition if they are playing Serenity type cards? Not really. A little bit. I mostly just have to get lucky against early Goblin Lackey hands. I could board in Null Rod when I'm on the draw, and I'm less likely to be able to take Aether Vial. But that probably involves taking Chrome Mox out of my deck. How do I feel about Null Rod? Not amazing. It's competing with so many 2-drops here. Part of the reason that I don't like it. Like, it's not bad, but not good either. Got Pithing Needle to handle Aether Vial. I don't know, like, it opens up Dark Ritual Null Rod lines. That might be worth it. We'll go down a Chrome Mox, and I think I need to keep the Shadow Spear in the deck despite the non-bow. Like, I could play the Rack, but, like, the Shadow Spear, Trample, and Lifelink are both very relevant. I might board out one Waste Not. Hard to have the time to play that in this matchup when I'm on the draw. I also don't think it's crazy to keep the Chrome Mox in there, despite playing Woozy What's It. This is a hand that would be improved so fucking much by a Dark Ritual. Turn 1, either Thoughtseize and him to Tourach. I'm keeping it, or like turn 2, Tourach after Thoughtseizing. Definitely still scared. Oh, wow. What the fuck did you keep? Like, I'll find out. I see. Man sucks. Like, this doesn't have enough mana to cast its spells. I'm going to just hymn this hand into oblivion. I think I just take the 2-drop. Like, this card isn't that good without more goblins backing it up. But I think I just bully my opponent with back-to-back hymn to Tourachs, and they lose for a bad keep. Like, I don't understand what the appeal of keeping that hand is. I don't know. I guess they can just port me rather than make any plays. That definitely feels anemic. I don't know, maybe I'm supposed to leave them with a pile driver so that they... This is an awkward draw for me. I don't want to get a Swamp ported next turn. I want this Urza Saga to get ported. Because I want to have black to just start hymning my opponent. That's super awkward and means I don't get great value out of the Urza Saga. Do I just wait? Maybe I just wait. There's worlds where my opponent doesn't port me. I still make my next land drop anyway. I can hold up Sudden Edict after playing Urza Saga. That's, I guess, fine. It makes the pile driver take, like, significantly worse. I should have thought about this play more. I still don't think my opponent's hand was a keep. That is, in many ways, a very lucky top deck. But these hymns, especially if I draw another black and I get to, like, use the Tourachs as well, they are going to be backbreaking. Alright, so here's him. Taking out Fury and Matron, which I'm on board with. Not sure if I'm going to make Urza Saga tokens. I kind of like just continuing to hymn my opponent and giving up that value. But if my opponent can't get those cards into play anyway, I don't know, like my opponent might just port the Urza Saga, and like I don't even have to make the decision. Yeah, this is gonna be the port. Oh my gosh, I think they're thinking about greeting and tapping a swamp. Okay. That did not happen. Okay, cool. Very, very happy to just draw more mana here. That means Tourach is potentially live in the future. Yeah, let's just take the 2-for-1 here. Let's cast the hymn. Look out Ringleader and Munitions Expert. Next turn, I can Urza Saga and Pithing Needle either Rishadan Port or Aether Vial. Probably Port, since I have multiple Tourachs in play. Opponent does not have double red to play War Chief. Okay, they have a Matron. Sure. Be like a Trash Master or just a card advantage one. Care about a 3/3? Probably just him my opponent. Okay, that's a pile driver. That is able to be put in off Aether Vial. Now, I can make a construct, get a... Hold on. Chrome Mox, I boarded out. Chrome Mox, I boarded out. Okay. That line is not available to me. Do I care about this card? If I care about this card, I can just Tourach it out. And it's actually super inconvenient that I boarded out that Chrome Mox. Tourach loses value next turn. Did I board out the Rack? Did board out the Rack. So this is just getting Pithing Needle full stop. I think I'm just going to take the 3/3 here. Like, I think I'm just going to take this extra value. Alright. Pile driver's in play. I get Pithing Needle. I think I just name Rishadenport. I don't know, if I name Aether Vial... No, I don't want to get double ported if my opponent draws a land. Let's just name Port. I'll let my opponent get that card out of hand. And just kind of be okay with current board. I don't know about this turn, though. Like, taking this card away does take away some scary combination situations that can occur. Alright, I don't think I want to Edict here. I don't know, maybe I do, because, like, Tourach being kicked is not currently a thing. I guess this is fine. I don't know. I don't like how I've played this turn cycle in retrospect. Like, just awkward. Tourachs are just kind of stuck now. Yeah. Yeah, these Tourachs are just kind of stuck in my hand. I don't know, but, like, I have a 4/4 lifelinker that's larger than my opponent's board. I like the Pithing Needle on Rishadenport. I feel very good about that. But I feel very bad about these Tourachs that are stuck in my hand. Maybe I'm supposed to just get rid of the War Chief to stop some of the craziest possible top decks of, like, Ringleader. Nice. That's very good for me. So my opponent will crash in because, you know, I'm just lifelinky and trample-y. So they actually net damage, but I end up with the better life swings here. 4 damage for me. Drop you to 12. There's no point in kicking this. My opponent has no cards. This is just a 2/1. I want to remove my equipment to it. Not really. Like, I'm totally happy just trading Tourach for either one of those creatures if my opponent does attack. I have a Vial at 1. Opponent isn't to Muxus levels of mana yet. Well, safe in that regard. Yeah, that's fine. More scared of the War Chief than I am of the Pile Driver. We'll go ahead and make that trade. And then we'll see if my opponent has anything. Oops, all Tourachs. I guess I can kick this pre-combat. That's relatively free. I don't really expect... Oh my god, it was Muxus. Nice. Crash in for 4. Yeah, I think I've stolen this game. I don't know that I've actually played it all that well. Like, it's working out, but don't feel great about it, basically, is where I'm at. Okay, yeah, we stole that game and ended up with a 3-2 in the league. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Not bad. I feel like sometimes things didn't work out for us, but when we exploded and did our thing, it was incredibly strong. Like, there were a couple of those Waste Not plays that were just some of the most disgusting things I've ever done in Magic. Like, I don't remember what it was, but it was like Waste Not into Tourach into him to Tourach or something like that. And that was just, like, absolutely disgusting. And, like, the mono black shell, generally speaking, is pretty good. I'm not sure if you can play, like, Chains as a do-nothing card while also playing Waste Not as a do-nothing card. And by that, I mean, like, these are cards that don't have an immediate impact on the board when they are played in a lot of matches. But, like, both absolutely were, like, good at points in this league. Maybe Chains isn't main deckable. Like, it's definitely a hedge versus the blue decks, and was a little bit more reasonable when Howling Mine was still in the deck list. Maybe some of the things like Opposition Agent or the Inquisition make their way into the main deck, and you play Chains in the sideboard just to stay a little more active for the game 1 scenarios. The Rack did some work in this league. Probably could have won games without it, but, like, it was a nice option to have, and I definitely got punished for boarding it out in 1 round, I believe. So ultimately, I think this one still gets a thumbs up. I don't know that it's better than other mono black decks that we've played on the channel. So, for example, the Obliterator deck from, I don't know, probably 2 weeks ago for you all felt a little bit smoother than this. But, like, there was a lot to like from this Waste Not deck list. And, like, though we never assembled, like, Waste Not plus Chains against a blue opponent, like, whew, like, that idea is very delicious to me. It's also hard to evaluate chains because like your opponent doesn't cast cantrips into them, so you don't necessarily see how much they do. But I do think chains has gotten weaker since expressive iteration got printed, giving blue decks a source of card advantage that's very commonly played that gets around that in a way that card advantage things like Baleful Strix and Jace previously did not. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please throw me a like on the way out. It helps out a lot. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and feel free to check out this deck list or my donation information to get one of your own decks on stream in the video description. See ya!